In this video, I'm going to talk about, is Jesus God? Now, if you're new to my channel, in 2014, I attempted to take my life. An Archangel Michael appeared, and ever since then, I've had multiple visitations from Archangel Michael, Raphael, Metatron, Jesus, Lucifer, ET beings, and I've had out-of-body experiences. In the last 10 years, you know, some of the things that I've learned have completely shattered my ego. And there were times where I even experienced a little bit of depression. In 2014, I attempted to take my life by starting my car in my garage. And Archangel Michael appeared. His energy just overcame my body. I had no idea, other than hearing his name a few times, what he was all about. Had no idea how I knew it was him. It was just this energy came over my body. And he opened up this portal, and my dad's voice started yelling at me to stop doing what I was doing. You know, when you spend the majority of your life believing one thing, it's very hard to all of a sudden be like, oh shit, you mean I was wrong the whole time? Everything I thought this whole time, you know, was a little skewed. And so I just want to say, you know, I don't expect anyone that has a firm belief system already in place to come across a YouTube or a TikTok video and completely change their mind. To most people, I'll just sound like a crazy person, but try to put yourself in my shoes for a moment. You know, if you were normal once upon a time, you know, up until 2014, I was just a normal guy. Worked a 9 to 5, had no money, drank my face off, did it on repeat. And then in 2014, I just quietly decided that 1 year after losing my mom to cancer, before my son was born, 3 months before my son was born, that I had enough of this life. And so I quietly tried to exit. And the next thing you know, I'm getting visitations from fucking angels and Jesus and Archangel Michael and Lucifer. I remember the first time I had a visitation by Lucifer, I was so distraught. Even though it was an absolute loving experience, I was having an out-of-body experience in meditation. And when I came back to my human mind, you know, I was like freaked out. I was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Why? How does he know my name? I thought Jesus was, you know, blocking me from Lucifer. He didn't even know I fucking existed, kind of shit, right? I think back to my earlier days, I was so afraid I couldn't even say the name Lucifer. And, you know, even when I woke up in 2014, well, I kind of got drunk for almost a year, but in 2015, I really started to wake up, going to meditations. And, you know, I remember the first time I came across a tarot card reading and the person pulled the devil card, I like flipped the fucking channel. I was like, oh my God, this is a fucking horrible channel. Like, I was just freaked out. And after having 4 visitations from Lucifer, you know, I can honestly say, I can't prove it, but I believe in my heart that he actually saved my life in one of the 4 visitations. You know, it was during my divorce, and I had pains internally. So I went and got a MRI or an ultrasound, and they said I had an 11 millimeter kidney stone. Well, halfway through moving boxes, I dropped to the ground and I felt like I gave birth, and I actually thought I was going to die. And that's when Lucifer came to me, and he whispered his name into my ear, and the next thing I know, I went from being on the ground. My ex-wife was standing there, like, watching me, like, do whatever I was doing. And as soon as he whispered his name into my ear, well, I started laughing. And then I stood up, and all the pain was gone. And I go back for an MRI ultrasound, and it's completely vanished. So, you know, some of the things that I've had to readjust in my mind have been extremely difficult. So please don't think that I just came up with this shit overnight and I'm throwing out all these radical ideas. But, you know, one of the things, because growing up, you know, I was raised in a Roman Catholic religion. However, around, I don't even remember what age I was, but I was going to Sunday school and church and all that. And one time in confession, the priest yelled at me, so I decided I had enough of this place. And I always felt like I could just pray to Jesus wherever I wanted to, right? So next time Sunday school came around, I climbed 20 feet up into a tree until it was over. despite my dad yelling at me. And the next Sunday I did the same thing. And the third Sunday, I guess it sunk in because I didn't need to climb the top of the tree. But, growing up, I questioned, I was like, I just talked to Jesus all the time. And I was like, I don't know if you're God, Jesus, but, to me, you're kind of God. So I'm going to just treat you like God, and I'm going to talk to you all the time. And I prayed almost every single night. Please protect me and my family, keep us healthy, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? I never really knew. I was like, is he God or is he just a cool dude, right? And, I've had 2 really crazy visitations from Jesus. October 20th, 2020, right after my divorce, when I wanted to commit suicide more than in 2014 when I actually attempted to, but Archangel Michael showed me that was no longer an option. But I'd just gone through this divorce, after 22 years, came to a sudden end after a girls' night out. I planned my whole life to play out a certain way. I was living in a beautiful 3-story house with palm trees, detached garage, games room, jet tub, walk-in closets, to living with my old man at the age of 40 and giving away half of everything that, I worked my whole entire life for. And not only that, ex started seeing, let's just say, an unfavorable gentleman. And I was put through a lot there, not only on top of having to part ways from being able to see my son every night. He wasn't very satisfied in the beginning, and some of the things that I was just going through, I was discovering that child support payments were kicking in, and a job I had spent 22 years at was no longer capable of supporting me while paying child support payments. So I had the added stress of knowing that I had to quit my job with no energy or motivation to reinvent myself, because I felt like I had nothing going on other than, the steel industry that I invested so much time of my life into. And I was in a really bad place. And, the soul of Jesus came to me when I was having a shower at my old man's house. And that is when I got to experience what true unconditional love is. And on April 8th, 2021, despite the fact that I had that visitation almost a year earlier, I was still really struggling because I was getting put through the gears in certain areas in my life. And I remember going to the beach, third beach in Vancouver with my buddy one time. As soon as I sat down on the blanket, all I could see was white light everywhere. I had a laughing attack, and the next thing I know, within this white light, the soul of Jesus came next to me, who was standing next to the sun. And, I've had telepathic downloads from Jesus. I've had really strange encounters. I make a steel tree sculpture called the Yeshua tree that, I pointed at a buddy's face and he almost had a seizure. I had to help him to the ground. And after connecting to one of my psychic friends, I asked her what the heck happened. And she said, when I pointed my tree at this guy, the energy of Jesus hit his crown chakra and he just went all wonky and lost control of himself. So I've had all kinds of crazy visitations from Jesus, but, one of the things I've come to believe is that he's not God. He aligns the love that he has in his heart, aligns to the love that God has in his heart. We are all sparks of God. The soul that's in Jesus is an evolved soul. We all have the opportunity to do that. Some souls are just older than others and have evolved, You don't look at an 89-year-old if you're 30 and be like, oh, I'm jealous because you got gray hair or something, right? Doesn't make sense. You'll get there eventually. You just got to evolve and take the right steps. Sometimes, especially on planet Earth, 80% of us go backwards and devolve. Unfortunately, I don't blame it all on humans. I've had past life memories come back, and myself personally, I was deceived. I remember being a soul for my incarnation, and I was straight up, I ran into some deceitful individuals. So I don't blame all of humanity. I believe the majority of the souls that have incarnated down on planet Earth actually had no idea how bad the energy actually was before they came here. And that was why I had to, astral project and take care of the salesmen of Earth, which are a couple gentlemen that greet souls that are flying or floating through the universe looking at other realities to incarnate. The two or the few, I only remember two, but there might be more. But the two that I associated with, if they're even alive, are no longer in charge of that role. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. So Jesus, from what I've come to learn, is an ascended master, right? Which means he's a highly evolved soul. This our Earth is in one universe. There's endless universes. Try to wrap that around your mind, okay? Jesus, along with other ascended masters, were called here by God because he looked at planet Earth and he was like, oh, fuck. This is a fucking shit show. The people down here are just on a cycle, haven't learned how to pull their heads out their ass, still carrying resentment, jealousy, envy, rage, greed, all that bullshit, right? They're still consumed with this physical reality and not thinking about the afterlife and what their actions are gonna, cause them to experience. And so God, now I don't know if I want to get into who is God, because let's just leave it at it's a separate entity than Jesus in this video. I've talked about it in other videos, but for this one, I don't want to make it too long. So God called all these ascended masters and high vibrational beings to come here because he wanted to see. It's funny because the turds down here that hate the light workers, God actually called them in to help give the turds a chance to evolve, and the turds attack the light workers. One thing I learned after having a fallen angel attached to me, I used to be comfortable in a very low vibrational energy, meaning, one of my favorite ways in my 20s to release my frustration was to punch a guy in the face if he disrespected me in any way. I was a loose cannon, and when times got tough, I had no problem flipping the bird up to this guy. Even more recently, I feel like I finally got out of that stage. It's taken me, I don't know, I don't resonate with who I was a week ago, but let's just say it's taken me a very long time to get to this point. But, I used to flip the bird, and then when, my guides decided, okay, let's allow a fallen angel attached to this guy. And when they did that, I realized, okay, this life's not really worth getting worked up about, because the afterlife's eternal. Here's what I want you to do to try to give yourself a better understanding. Go get yourself a brand new journal. Just put nothing but dashes, 10,000 dashes in this journal. Now I want you to erase one. And ask yourself, how significant is that one? Not very, right? That's kind of like this life, except that 10,000 is infinity. This life's not worth getting worked up about. Many people get depressed because they don't have a Bugatti or a penthouse, don't have the Rolex. Who gives a shit? If you can learn to open up your heart in this incarnation, regardless of what the fuck's going around you, you win. Okay? The opinions of other people, the turds on planet Earth, they don't mean shit. Your relationship with God is the only thing that matters. And Jesus, if I don't want to be disrespectful of anyone's religion, Jesus can get you there. But what I've come to learn is he didn't want to be worshipped. He wanted to show you that opening up your heart and being loving will get you to where you want to be. I think I've gone on long enough. From what I've come to realize, there's another power that is God. And Jesus will help you get to where you want to be. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.